In this video, I am starting our inverses of natural logs, but only going over the functions or the equations in this video. So this is day one. So here, just the reminder that the natural log of x is the inverse of the exponential function e to the x. So again, we've talked about this, and notice the graph here, how they are inverses of each other. So again, the natural log and that exponential function e to the x are inverses of each other. So keep that in mind because we've been talking about inverses. So again, because they are inverses of each other, when they're next to each other, they're just going to cancel each other out because they are inverse operations. So like for example, notice how you have natural log of e to the 0.15t power. Well, natural log and e are inverses. So guess what happens? They cancel each other out next to each other. So you literally now just bring down the exponent, which now this becomes 0.15t. And that's it. So like here, even if it was e to the natural log of x plus 1 power, well, e and natural log are inverses. So now you just bring down that exponent, which is x plus 1. Then here, again, if I have natural log and e, they cancel each other out. So you're just left with 2x. But now plus, again, natural log and e cancel out. Bring down x. 2x plus x is now 3x. Go ahead and pause the video and try these U-tries on your own. And here we go. So notice how here they cancel out, inverse operations, inverse functions, and you're left with 25x. Here again, inverse functions, and you're left with the exponent x plus 2. Here you have inverse functions, so you're left with 4x plus 2x plus 1. So after combining like terms, you should have gotten 6x plus 1. Now in number 2, we're finding the inverse function. So now we're going to actually rewrite this. Keep that in mind with your inverse functions here. So just like before, we're going to switch the x and y value and solve for y. So notice how if I'm solving, if I have natural log, I'm going to end up with e. So here I'm going to, well, notice how the natural log is by itself, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and what I do to one side, I do to the other. So that's kind of like my shortcut here because these are inverse operations and cancel each other out. So you're just left with y minus 4, which is now equal to e to the x power. Now I can solve for y by adding 4 here. Inverse opposite operation. Y is equal to e to the x plus 4. That is the inverse function. So same thing here. Remember, f of x is the same as y. So let's go ahead and switch. X is equal to e to the y plus 6 plus 2. Now here, notice our exponential is not by itself. We're adding 2 to it. So we need to subtract 2 first from both sides. Now I've got x minus 2 is equal to e to the y plus 6. Now the exponential is by itself. So e, remember, the inverse is now the natural log. So I'm going to take natural log here of both sides, right? Because now this cancels out, and I can just bring down my exponent of y plus 6, which is equal to the natural log of x minus 2. Keep it all together. Now notice we need to solve for y, but we're adding 6 to it, so subtract 6 from both sides. So here you're left with the inverse function, which is natural log of x minus 2 minus 6. So again, here we have our natural log. So let's switch the x and y. Oops. And now let's start by getting this natural log by itself. Well, I'm subtracting 3, so now I need to add 3 to both sides of the equation. X plus 3 is equal to 2 times the natural log of y minus 5. Now notice you're still multiplying that natural log by 2, so now we need to divide both sides by 2. Now I've got x plus 3 over 2. Can't simplify that, which is now equal to the natural log of y minus 5. Now that the natural log here is by itself, we can take and use our inverse, which is e. So this now becomes e to the x plus 3 over 2, which is equal to, remember, right, they cancel each other out, they're inverse operations. y minus 5. And again, here we're solving for y, so I need to add 5 to both sides. So here the inverse function is y is equal to e to the x plus 3 over 2 plus 5. Go ahead and pause the video and now try these 3 U tries on your own. And here we go. Notice how you're starting with a natural log. So I have x is equal to natural log of y minus 6. Now we need to get the natural log here by itself, but we're subtracting 6. So first we need to add 6 to both sides. X plus 6 is now equal to the natural log of y. Now we can get the inverse and use that exponential function, raise both sides. So this is e to the x plus 6, which is equal to canceling each other out, and so you're now just left with y. Now notice y was already by itself, so this is the inverse function. Same thing here. Remember, f of x is the same as y, so let's switch them. X is equal to e to the y minus 3. Now notice the exponential here is by itself. So I'm going to go right into getting that inverse, which is the natural log. So here I've got the natural log of x is equal to, remember inverses, they cancel each other out and bring down your exponent, which is y minus 3. However, we're still solving for y, and because we're subtracting 3 from it, so what do we have to do? Add 3 now to both sides. So here the inverse function, y is equal to the natural log of x plus 3. And then for the last one, you have a natural log. So let's switch the x and y. And here we go. So again, first, notice how we have multiple things going on, right, outside of our natural log. I have adding 2. So first, let's subtract 2 from both sides. X minus 2 is equal to 3 times the natural log of x plus 4. Now, if I'm multiplying natural log by 3, now divide by 3. Inverse operation. Now I've got x minus 2 over 3, which is equal to the natural log of x plus 4. Now we can get the inverse of the natural log, which is e. So raising both sides to that exponent, I've got e to the x minus 2 over 3, that whole thing, that's your exponent, is equal to, well, they cancel out and bring down x plus 4. Oh, I'm sorry, I just realized I still had an x there. My fault, and that was supposed to be a y, as we're solving for y here. But notice how we still have y plus 4, so we now need to subtract 4 from both sides. So here I've got y is equal to e to the x minus 2 over 3, but then minus 4. That is the inverse function.